Tonight, a day before party leaders go head-to-head, hockey enters the political arena.
I would like anybody else, to watch the game.
A last-minute pivot for the puck drop.
Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state.
And the ramped-up U.S. rhetoric ahead of tomorrow's debate. A relocation rumor puts the auto industry on edge. Plus, the new threat from Donald Trump after Harvard defies his demands.
It's an attack on higher education. It's an attack on a pillar of American civil society.
How the showdown is affecting Canadian universities. Also, seeing red on the green.
You can stop it!
The nasty swings caught on camera at a BC golf course and why the Mounties are now investigating. And smiling through a paralyzing health scare.
Bro, I couldn't even laugh right, bro.
How a Grammy-winning rapper is holding on to his humor from a hospital bed.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. All it took was one report half a world away to create chaos and confusion in a Canadian industry that's already feeling battered and vulnerable over what the future holds. It happened on the eve of the first face-off of this election campaign, where the impact of Donald Trump's tariffs and how to manage them will almost certainly dominate the debate. CTV senior political correspondent Mike Couture on what drove today's tense moments.
Honda has been a fixture in this southern Ontario community for nearly 4 decades. The car company says it's not rolling out of town, but local businesses are still nervous.
If we lose over 4,000 jobs, where are our customers coming from?
Early reports out of Japan said Honda was working on a plan to move some car production from Canada and Mexico to the U.S. as a result of President Donald Trump's 25% auto tariffs. By mid-afternoon, the company issued a statement saying our Canadian manufacturing facility in Alliston, Ontario, will operate at full capacity for the foreseeable future. Those in the industry say some operations could go south, but it may not affect Canadian jobs.
We may see some CRV production move to the U.S. to serve a U.S. customer. But there is also a lot of CRV and Civic excess demand in Canada.
In an effort to prevent any auto manufacturing from being driven south, the government announced car companies that continue to make vehicles in Canada will be exempt from Ottawa's retaliatory tariffs.
They will get 100% remission on our counter tariffs. So in other words, our counter tariffs won't apply if they continue to produce, continue to employ, continue to invest in Canada. If they don't, they will get 25% tariffs on what they are importing into Canada. Okay, so the incentives are there.
That exemption will also apply to U.S. assembled vehicles which comply with the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Agreement on Trade.
Thank you very much, everyone. It's great.
Other federal leaders also weighed in on the trade war, which continues to cause so much uncertainty.
We should not lift the counter tariffs.
If you're going to sell a car in Canada, you have to have a footprint in Canada, meaning you have to make cars here or you have to have jobs here.
Another curveball in this campaign was the scheduling conflict between the French language leaders debate and a Montreal Canadiens hockey game. With playoff hopes on the line, all political parties agreed to start tomorrow's debate 2 hours earlier at 6 p.m. Eastern so that people can watch both full contact events. Omar.
Mike Couture in Montreal. All right, Mike, thank you. And for more on that debate, let's get to CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelas. Vashi, if we ever needed a reminder of the power of hockey, we certainly got it today. Quebec, as we know, a pivotal province, and after Ontario has the most number of seats, what's at stake for each of the leaders in tomorrow's first face-off?
Well, I think Mark Carney, Omar, goes into this face-off in French in particular as the front runner in Quebec. And so there will be additional pressure on him because of that. French has been an issue for him. He rates his own at 6 out of 10. But so far, that hasn't bothered Quebecers, who seem to be most concerned with the issue of sovereignty, not their own, as in previous elections, but the country's writ large. And that has come at the expense of the Bloc Québécois in particular. So I'll be looking to see what leaders of the Bloc and the NDP, kind of the ones who are not polling high in popular support, what they do when they have less to lose. As for Pierre Poilievre, the pressure is on him as well, but people I talked to in his party say there's a lot of opportunity as well. They think he's a seasoned debater, as evidenced in the House of Commons, and they hope he brings those debate skills to the one that happens tomorrow night in French. They believe he has a lot of ground to gain at Mark Carney's expense. We'll see if that happens, Omar.
All right, we'll be watching, Vashi. Thank you. And CTV National News will be live tomorrow night in Montreal after the debate and, of course, that hockey game. Back on the campaign trail, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is promising to protect seniors and crack down on scammers. CTV's Rachel Aiello now on how the party plans to follow through.
One click, and it's gone.
Backed by a row of seniors, today, Pierre Poilievre pledged his government would impose new laws to make it tougher for scammers to take their money. Taking aim at lacking enforcement of anti-fraud laws, the Conservatives want to require banks and telecom providers to, in real time, detect, report, and block suspected fraud, such as phishing texts and robocalls targeting customers over the age of 65.
Our seniors deserve to feel safe and secure when they pick up their phones, iPads, or computers.
The Conservatives would also put a 24-hour delay on high-risk transactions from seniors' accounts, forcing banks to call to ensure they're not being swindled. Failing to implement scam prevention measures could result in heavy penalties. Poilievre is also promising to create a new criminal offense, targeting executives for willful blind profiteering from senior scams, while also imposing tougher sentences and fines for fraudsters. In recent years, scammers leveraging increasingly sophisticated technology have targeted thousands of Canadian seniors.
The scammer was so convincing.
The bank should confirm the receivers that they're legitimate,
resulting in millions in financial losses.
I could have been doing so much with my money, but it's gone.
The Liberals and New Democrats have also made senior-centric commitments over the course of this campaign, but not specifically on scam prevention. The Conservatives targeting this demographic today comes as Nanos numbers show that Canadians ages 55 and older far prefer Mark Carney to Poilievre. Omar?
All right, Rachel, thank you. Multiple people were injured in an apparent hit and run in downtown Toronto this afternoon. Now police are on the hunt for a suspect who they say knew one of the victims.
It's still early in this investigation, but at this time it appears that it may have been an intentional targeting of a specific individual on the walkway.
The vehicle crashed into 4 people in a pedestrian-only route at a university. 2 were rushed to hospital, one with serious injuries, the other with minor injuries. 2 other victims were treated on the scene. Officers are now looking for a dark green sedan with cracked windshield, which was seen fleeing the area.
Hey, you want to go? Oh, yeah.
And RCMP and BC are investigating some ugly swings after a brawl broke out at a golf course in West Kelowna. Tensions escalated between the 2 men Monday night after one group of players got upset that the group in front of them was taking too long on the course. We have new details tonight and the surging number of people seeking asylum in Canada. CTV's Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin now on where they are coming from and why.
A few signs of the surge in asylum seekers have been spotted at the Lacal border crossing. Added personnel, more vans carrying those seeking refuge on Canadian soil. This rise is recent. New figures show that so far this year across the country, the number of applications for asylum has been down significantly, 53% less compared to 2024. But since April 1st, 1,411 people have made asylum claims at this land crossing. Compare that to the same period last year, the number was 319. Community groups are scrambling to provide help, including for the basics like food, housing, to those who arrive in Montreal. Colette Casavant of Family Centre Entre Maman et Papa says resources are already stretched thin and the needs are growing. Most refugee claimants arriving at the border now are from Haiti and had been living in the U.S. under special programs that suspended deportations. Their home country is in turmoil as gangs control the capital, Port-au-Prince. But Trump ended the programs and a letter went out to Haitians without status asking them to leave the U.S. by April 24. Until 2023, Lacal and the nearby irregular border crossing at Roxham Road had repeatedly made headlines as a gateway to Canada. Sophie Mulanga now volunteers at the family centre but is from Congo.
C'était son premier mandat.
She arrived through that crossing during Trump's first term, believing the U.S. no longer felt safe. But over the past 2 years, the number of migrants had gone down significantly. This after the third Safe Country Agreement was extended to the entire border. That agreement forces asylum seekers to make their claim in the U.S. if they enter that country first. And so many who arrive here are turned around and sent back to the U.S., but there are exceptions, including for some who have close family ties in Canada. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Saint-Bernard-de-la-Colle, Quebec.
Turning now to that deportation standoff over a man from El Salvador who is living in Maryland. A federal judge today demanding to know what steps the Trump administration is taking to bring him back, setting up another confrontation between Trump and the courts. Here's CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malbin.
The pressure's mounting to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia home. The Maryland father of three just spent his second month in El Salvador's notorious prison. This image of him, head shaved, dressed in white, his wife pleading for his return.
Enough is enough. My family can't be robbed from another day without seeing Kilmar. This administration has already taken so much from my children's.
The White House admitted it made a mistake deporting Garcia. The Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate his return. And today, a federal judge scolded the government for doing, quote, nothing to bring him back.
We're not asking anybody to do anything illegal. We're asking them to follow the law.
But the White House now says it wasn't a mistake, and Garcia is exactly where he belongs.
There is never going to be a world in which this is an individual who's going to live a peaceful life in Maryland because he is a foreign terrorist and a MS-13 gang member.
Garcia denies the allegations. He's never been convicted of a crime here or in El Salvador, but did enter the U.S. illegally and was given protected status.
He's from El Salvador, so that's a decision up to El Salvador.
Yesterday, El Salvador's president said he won't do it in what has become a test of Donald Trump's presidential power versus the courts. I'm pissed. Even Republicans at this town hall are feeling the heat.
These people have been sentenced to life imprisonment in a foreign country with no due process. Our government cannot do anything.
A federal judge ordered the Trump administration to show evidence of what action it's taken to secure Garcia's release within 2 weeks, or she'll consider contempt charges. Omar?
All right, Joy Malbin in Washington tonight. Joy, thank you. There are signs of an escalating showdown tonight between the Trump administration and one of the most powerful institutions in the world, Harvard, as the two sides appear to take their battle to court. The U.S. president now threatening another financial punch after freezing more than $2 billion in U.S. federal funding.
This freeze will hamper Harvard's ability to produce new technologies, new biomedical discoveries, new outreach in public health. We will be in worse shape as a nation.
Harvard has refused to comply with a list of Trump's demands to discontinue diversity, equity, inclusion, and Trump says it isn't doing enough to address anti-Semitism. The university insists it has taken many steps to do so over the past 15 months, calling Trump's move a violation of the school's First Amendment rights. Former President Obama, a Harvard alum himself, applauded Harvard's decision, saying it has set an example, rejecting an unlawful and ham-handed attempt to stifle academic freedom. Federal funding has been paused in schools across the U.S., including Columbia, Penn, Princeton, and Northwestern. And even though Harvard has the largest endowment at $53 billion, giving it more cushion than others, there are restrictions on how the money can be used. Trump tonight threatening to cut the school's tax-exempt status if it, quote, keeps pushing what he calls political, ideological, and terrorist-inspired sickness. And as those funding freezes take hold, more American students want to study in Canada. UBC's Vancouver campus is reporting a 27% jump in graduate admissions compared to last year. And the University of Toronto also says there's been a bump. Meanwhile, the Canadian Association of University Teachers issued a warning today to those traveling to the U.S., especially members from a country where there are diplomatic tensions with the U.S., travelers who identify as transgender, or those who've expressed negative opinions about the current current U.S. administration or its policies. The group says it issued the warning after reports of people having trouble crossing the border. Coming up.
It's great. It's about time we saw a little break.
What fueled the drop in inflation and what it means for tomorrow's Bank of Canada rate decision.
When I smile, this is me doing a full smile right now, by the way.
Plus, a famous rapper speaks out about his medical scare. A drop in inflation last month is providing some relief for Canadians. CTV's Kathy Lee now on what's getting cheaper and what it could mean for tomorrow's bank rate decision.
Relief at the pumps. Canadians fueling up, noticing the usual hit to the wallet feels more like a gentle nudge.
I think it's great. It's about time we saw a little break.
I drive a lot for work, so it's great for me when we have the prices down.
The lower gas prices contributing to an unexpected ease in inflation last month, according to Stats Canada.
The expectation was that inflation was going to be 2.6%, comes in at 2.3%. I see this as being a good sign.
With the removal of the federal consumer carbon price combined with a drop in global oil prices in response to the tariff war, experts predict an even more positive outcome for gas prices.
If I compare April, which hasn't finished yet, 2025 compared to April 2024, the difference is looking at about 24 cents on average. If you think inflation heading down is something newsworthy today, as it is, you ain't seen nothing yet. Next month is going to see an even greater drop.
In addition to the decrease in prices at the pump last month, Stats Canada says falling travel prices also helped to slow inflation. Prices for travel tours declined 4.7%. Air transportation prices fell 12%. The drops coinciding with decreased Canadian air travel to the United States.
I'd say a quarter of the clients definitely are looking at other destinations with regards to going to the U.S.
One, because of dollar, and two, because of the American tariffs and whatnot.
The trade war creating uncertainty over the Bank of Canada's interest rate decision tomorrow. Economists and analysts CTV News spoke to are divided over whether the central bank will cut its policy rate again or hold steady at 2.75%. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Pop star Lil Nas X was hospitalized Monday following a medical scare where he lost control of the right side of his face.
And when I smile, this is me doing a full smile right now, by the way. It's like, oh my God.
The 26-year-old Grammy winner has been sharing several videos on Instagram detailing his condition from a hospital bed. He seems to be in good spirits, telling fans that he's okay and asking them to, quote, stop being sad. The rapper has yet to reveal the cause of his facial paralysis. And beloved American game show host Wink Martindale has died at the age of 91. The Tennessee-born rock and roll DJ and good friend of Elvis Presley hosted 20 shows, including Tic-Tac-Doe, High Rollers, and Trivial Pursuit. Still ahead.
We've got plenty of sunshine and a whole lot of love for our neighbors up north.
The pitch California is making to Canada. Well, if you thought Donald Trump had given up on wanting to annex Canada, today confirmation he is not from the White House press secretary.
The president still maintains his position on Canada. The United States has been subsidizing Canada's national defense, and he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America.
Those threats have discouraged more and more Canadians from traveling to the U.S., but the governor of California wants to change that.
Because here in California, we've got plenty of sunshine and a whole lot of love for our neighbors up north.
Gavin Newsom launched this $5 million ad campaign to lure Canadians back. California, which estimates Canadians are the second biggest international spenders when it comes to tourism, says it saw a 12% drop in Canadian visitors in February compared with the same month last year. In 2024, 2 million Canadians visited. And signs of U.S.-Canada friendship are also popping up in Vancouver. An unknown American is trying to send Canadians a message.
I thought how delightful that somebody is actually going to put their money where their mouth is and say how appalling all this is.
The unnamed American has bought advertising space to apologize. Billboards show the maple leaf with the words, "Dear Canada, we are so very, very, very sorry. Signed, your American friends." The U.S. citizen who bought the advertising space told CTV News they wish to remain anonymous, so the message isn't about one single person. And a new exhibit on the Titanic will open in St. John's next month to honor the 113th anniversary of its sinking just off the coast of Newfoundland.
Titanic was actually on Newfoundland's time, so it was on Newfoundland's clock, so very significant with the time zone and the actual sinking time.
That's Titanic submersible diver Larry Daly, who created the exhibition. It will feature artifacts, displays, documents, and movie props from the 1997 classic. On this day, 113 years ago, 1,500 people lost their lives after the Titanic plunged into the icy waters of the Atlantic. Still ahead.
I really watch what I have to buy. It's just gone crazy.
Pinning down the pocketbook issues in a prairie city. Tonight's Voter Snapshot brings us to the 6th largest city in Saskatchewan. CTV's Alison Bamford takes us to Swift Current, where the cost of living is dominating the conversation.
A warm, windy spring day in Swift Current signals the end of the winter bowling season. It's the last day of play for the Club 55 League. On the lanes, they don't usually talk politics.
We're just here to have a good time.
John Friesen turns 100 in September. He's the one to beat. He's thrown 5 strikes in a row. Much like his bowling game, he says he can't complain about the federal government.
We've always had a good government here. They give good pensions.
But for his competition, Jackie Coward, there are concerns. Affordability and the rising cost of living top her list.
I really watch what I have to buy. It's just gone crazy.
Prices are up everywhere, including the Social Bowl.
It'll be $9.20 with taxes.
Owner Tegan Gator says small businesses like hers are just trying to keep up with inflation, taxes, and now tariffs.
Our customers feel it, we feel it. It makes it hard to make any money.
Some people told me they don't vote. Living in a conservative stronghold, they say they can already predict the outcome. Others say they don't feel their vote matters in a first-past-the-post system.
The election is over when it passes Ontario. We don't have anything to say about the election, really.
There are feelings of Western alienation in this part of the province.
A helpless feeling for voters, but Swift Current Council is hopeful whoever forms government will continue funding municipal projects.
The big issue right now is recreational facilities, and we have an aging aquatic facility that has been good to our community, but it's old.
Back at the bowling alley, they're focused on their game, and just like the federal election, they won't dwell on the results. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Swift Current.
And that's a snapshot of this Tuesday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and see you tomorrow from Montreal.